Good morning everyone and welcome back to a best-of-3 series of professional StarCraft 2. Today it's time for a Terran versus Protoss, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on Stargazers. Now spotting here in the top left-hand corner of the map, playing with the red Protoss probes from the United States of America, we have none other than Neeb. And his opponent in the top right with the yellow Terran SCVs, hailing from South Korea, we are looking at ByuN's main command center. Alrighty, so ByuN versus Neeb in a best-of-3 series. Now, both of these players are absolute channel favorites, I would say for very different reasons, however. So, ByuN, normally the type of guy who likes microing his units, right? He's very good at just squeezing a lot of juice out of that Terran army, and even though that sounds a little bit dirty, and even though this man does like opening up aggressively in a lot of his games, apparently on Stargazers, he likes to mix it up. So I'm a big fan of this build. Not entirely sure if it's actually very good, but Stargazers is one of the very few maps that we have in StarCraft 2 that features this in-base expansion. So this is a full expo, 8 mineral fields, 2 gas geysers, and what you can do, this is the main reason why I like it, it's kind of pretty, okay? So what you do is you build the command center. Obviously, you can use the command center to, return minerals towards it, right? So the SCV that's currently building the command center will mine out these 2 mineral fields over here. It's going to take 4 trips in total. So, they have 10 minerals each. I did math in a video. Don't want to flex, but I did. And then in the meantime, right, while you're waiting for the mineral fields to be mined out, you can make an orbital command on this CC, right? It's kind of pretty, right? So it lines up really well. Obviously, you do need to know who your opponent is, because if the Protoss player would be proxying, you're probably in a little bit of trouble. Neeb, however, usually doesn't do that. So Neeb, also 100% a very popular player on the channel. I've noticed that whenever I feature him in a video, the video tends to do really well as far as the views go. I think a couple of reasons for that particular thing. So, first off, Neeb is an amazing Protoss player, okay? He's one of the very few non-Korean players who has won a tournament over in South Korea. That is very uncommon. But secondly, and I think primarily, maybe I'm wrong, but Neeb, he's an American, right? And I know that probably about 40 to 50% of my viewers are from the States. I know you guys love cheering for your hometown hero, or home country hero. Doesn't really work. Anyhow, I know that Neeb definitely has a lot of fans right over there on that part of the world, so I'm always excited to watch him play as well. I'm personally a big fan. Even though, can I be an honorary American? I mean, I'm speaking English. I'm speaking American today. It's a Zerkling, Lester. Smaller tap is Zerk. How did I do? That was pretty much flawless, right? Anyways, what do we have right here from ByuN? First off, a bit of an ugly wall, but he needs this because he's already built a very large supply depot over there. So he doesn't actually make his second supply depot until a little bit from now. That is a very quick +1 infantry weapons here. Obviously, you can use this as well, since there's not really a whole lot of scouting here for ByuN. He hasn't seen anything. He doesn't even know if there's a Protoss player out there other than this one adept. Yeah, he's gonna need defense against a variety of openers, right? So, indeed, going for the missile turret is not a bad idea. Obviously, it's also a detector in case this would be some crazy Dark Templar opener right here from the American Protoss. Instead, though, it is gonna be a Stargate. A couple of Marines already available. He's pumping them out 2 at once. I actually like this little lineup. All right, let's see. Yep, once again, Micro Jackson comes out ahead. There's no way. Yep, Micro Jackson once again snipes one of those units. Luckily, Neeb does get one of the Marines at the very least, but that is definitely not the trait that you're looking for. All right. Proxy Pylon going up. Oracle ready to go in. Oh, no. No. Oh, my God. Another classic ByuN move, right? So Neeb decided to take the long way around. There's some 300 IQ plays going on here. So Neeb could have just flown the Oracle straight towards the pocket base, and nothing really would have stopped him, right? But apparently ByuN was thinking that Neeb was thinking to fly it in the long way around, and instead he flew it straight into the Widow Mine. Normally that Widow Mine is hiding over there or over there, just out of line of sight. Anyways, in the meantime, Neeb is gonna go for a gateway right over here in the middle of the map. This is gonna allow him to, reinforce this relatively easily. Blink is coming up here very soon as well, so I think he maybe wants to start harassing. You don't need high ground vision over here. You can just blink the unit straight in. In the meantime, though, there is also a medevac filled up with 3 Widow Mines. One of those Widow Mines is already a murderer. So, he's probably teaching the other Widow Mines right now in the hull of that medevac exactly how this works. Third Nexus is coming up on the back of this as well, and ByuN sees it right now. I don't know if that Widow Mine, or sorry, if that medevac was spotted just now by the pylon. I think it's safe to assume that Neeb at the very least should know that that Widow Mine is out there regardless, or that Widow Mine plate is out there regardless. I mean, he's scouting, and even if he didn't see it, he probably realizes roughly what's going on. There we go. Going straight towards the natural. You gotta be so careful though. Okay, he does pull the probes. I see movement there on the minimap as well with the stalkers. Looks like these are not achieving too much. Obviously, Micro Jackson is once again burrowing, unburrowing, burrowing, unburrowing, trying to be as annoying as possible. Eventually though, it looks like the Widow Mines do detonate, but they don't kill all too much. 3 probes in total. Still, they need to be cleared out. Blink is on cooldown right now for at least some of those stalkers. Looks like the ones in the front should technically be microed back, but there's multiple battles going on at once. Nicely done here, though, by Neeb. Yeah. Keeping the majority of his units alive, pushing back this army over here, clearing out the Widow Mines. Very nicely done. It's easy to be caught up in the chaos and then completely, you know, either forget to clean up the Widow Mines that they fire a second time, which is awful, or to just completely not micro the stalkers over here. But multitasking on point. These are very dicey engagements for both players. Would love to see a bunker over here. I think a bunker would not be a bad idea. Anyways. ByuN is like, I am the bunker. I am the one who bunkers? No. Knocks. Doesn't work in this situation. Anyways. Maybe Neeb is the one that would be knocking on the bunker instead. If you haven't seen Breaking Bad, that just... You probably think I'm crazy. You probably think I'm loco. You'd be right. Got him. Anyways, third command center at this point is done. ByuN gonna go for an orbital here, I'm sure. Yeah, I was gonna say. If you start making SCVs out of that one, it's never gonna turn into an orbital. So hey, if you make that mistake as a Terran player, right? Everyone's made that mistake. Apparently even still ByuN accidentally queues up additional SCVs in that base too, so... You can feel better about that. Now, once again, Neeb not really winning the battle over in this section of the map, right? ByuN looking pretty scary whenever he's on this high ground, apparently. But we are transitioning, so even though there's a strange gateway here in the middle of the map now, there's pylons sprinkled around the map as well. I think that this is Neeb mostly just transitioning to watch a macro game right now, as he's planted down Double Forge. So Double Forge is a big indicator that he wants to go for 2 upgrades at once. I know, crazy. Council to +1 armor to restart it up once again. Love to see that. Nicely done. Anyways, +1/+1 coming up right here for the American. In the meantime, ByuN trying to secure this low ground base, and looks like he will be okay, especially if Neeb is gonna, yeah, let go of that pressure for at least a little bit. Is he gonna go for the... Oh, no. Thought for a second we're gonna go for the gold. He's just planting things everywhere around the map. Interesting. I feel like out of all the... yeah, he's got 10 pylons right now. About 8 of them are not inside of his main base. Or inside of the natural, which is kind of interesting. Maybe not. We've got 4 of them. Maybe this also should count as an in-base pylon. I'm not entirely sure. Anyhow, another Nexus is building. Neeb kind of saved this. This is like his pocket base, right? His pocket money right over here. You can always keep it in the back of your base. Sometimes, actually, I've had this happen in my own games. It's kind of embarrassing, but I've forgotten about the in-base expansion. Maybe this is because I mostly play Zerg myself, but it's happened many times before that I just completely forget that there's still a base inside of my base that I can mine. And I'm like, ooh, I need to go for, you know, one of the more exposed ones. It's happened before that I've taken this base before that one. And it's not necessarily awful, but it's just a little, you know, a little ugly. Anyways. I can tell you about my latter adventures some other time, I suppose. Yeah, maybe Neeb liked my story. He's going back home. Appreciate that, Neeb. Alright. Double row-up facility coming up. The Colossi are being built. And a prism in the main of the Terran player. Ooh, little supply depot head. Love it. Depot will be upgraded here, and ByuN in the meantime, maybe more importantly, cleans up that little zealot run by. Or flyby, maybe. It's the nicer way of putting it. A lot of zealots are setting themselves up. I was gonna say, you gotta be very careful, man. ByuN, not a dumb player. He's looking for those zealots. He's like, nope, I swear they were here. Doesn't actually realize how close he was to catching all of those. That could have been a disaster, because obviously if those zealots are idling and you're not walking them, or you're attack moving them, I suppose, they will automatically charge at that much bigger Terran army. And at that point, it's going to be extremely hard to actually get those units out of trouble. Anyways, ByuN has found them now. He's going to see the laser giraffe here in a moment. And lasers. Lasers are pretty good. I feel like those force fields kind of helped out the Terran player more than the Protoss. Even though a couple of Marines there had to find their death. Ooh. Always loved this move. So he attack moved on his own Stalker there to use the splash damage of the Colossus to clean up the Widow Mine. Not a thing that we see very frequently, but hey, if you don't have any detection and you're in a pinch, you may as well. Okay. Pylon for a medevac, not bad. This choke point over here, though, I was gonna say, especially with ghosts in the mix, I've got a feeling that that is some place you want to back off from for now. Now there's disruptors coming up. That'll make those chokes a little bit nicer. Wouldn't be surprised to see High Templar as well if this game progresses. And obviously High Templar and disruptor hits on those bridges is pretty sweet. Bunch of zealots here get spotted as they're trying to run down south. They're just going for a little sprint. Don't worry about it, ByuN. Completely innocent zealots. Never mind. They have swords for arms. They're never innocent. A lot of EMPs going down. Mostly hitting the same units, though, about 3 times over. Anyhow. Vikings coming up right here. For the American Terror, or the American Terror player, the Korean Terror. He wishes. Alright, he wishes. Anyways, he's building Vikings right now to counter those Colossi. But there's only 3 of them. Protosses would like to make more Colossi than just 3, but they know that when they have 3, the Terran player has to respect it and actually make, you know, Vikings. And if they don't, they can maybe go up to like 4, maybe even 5 Colossi. So they're already transitioning towards other units from the Robo facilities instead. Disruptors, obviously amazing in this matchup. But hey, we're 12 minutes into this game, and honestly, this kind of feels even so far. I like the economy for Neeb, but I like the army for ByuN. This is one hell of an army, and a micro here from the... Oh, okay, never mind. The micro there initially was very good, okay, in my defense. When I started that sentence, I think I was correct. And in the end, I think it actually still is a pretty good trade right there. For a ByuN. ByuN is so confident when it comes to his unit control, right? I was like, nope, he's definitely got that. Turns out he doesn't. Snipes another disruptor. Another EMP as well. Vikings now land 2. So when the Vikings are gone, you can go back into Colossus production, of course. Alright. Yeah, Vikings actually deal a lot of damage against Stalkers. They deal bonus against Mechanical. Which is one of those things that's easily forgotten about. Like, landed Vikings do really well against, well, most Protoss armies. Ooh, alright. Poor Marauder. Good moves. Very nice moves here from Neeb. Ooh. Never say die. I mean, you just did, first off. And secondly, you are. Anyways, you are die? You get what I'm trying to say. I'm recording this on the Monday, okay? I didn't cast any games yesterday. So it's been an entire 24 hours more since I casted a game of StarCraft 2. I need a little bit of warming up, apparently. Oh, poor Zealot. The only thing there I think was 2 Marines and a Zealot. Okay, this is an incredibly chaotic game right now, though. Yeah, both players desperately trying to win. The disruptor count is getting ridiculous, right? So Neeb's like, okay, so you've sniped my units. You sniped them when I had like 3 of them, though. How about 8? 11 additional zealots are coming up. Neeb's trades here are significantly better than ByuN's. So keep in mind, ByuN also doesn't really have that much income. Right, if you look right here at the... Well, he's fine right now because apparently he noticed he planted down a couple mules. But what I'm getting at is like, yeah, look, there's a bunch of mules money. But what I'm getting at is that these bases are running out of money. So if these trades keep going the way that they are, this will look better and better and better for the American. It's got a gateway coming up as well on the bottom of the map. Man, Neeb is just using the entire map as his canvas. The probes are his brushes. The structures are his paint. And he's just trying to, like, yeah, put down Protoss infrastructure everywhere. And as long as you're aggressive, right? Well, unless you're... Hello. Ugh, that was ugly. As long as you're aggressive, usually these structures shouldn't be found. Now, he's still playing against Micro Jackson. And even though I like this position for Neeb quite a bit better right now, he still needs to be very careful. If anyone can pull a rabbit out of a hat, it's ByuN. He's now transitioning towards Liberators as well. And Liberators are obviously amazing at zoning away against those units. Okay, he does decide to just go in there though, and maybe that's the right choice because a large chunk of the Terran army has moved down south. That being said, it's always dangerous when you're blinking into those purification circles. Or liberation circles would probably be the better way of putting it. Honestly, he traded a lot of units out right over there, and ByuN obviously just took care of a base in the bottom left as well as a whole lot of probes. That exchange is actually not that bad for ByuN whatsoever. Problem is he's gonna be able to get those medevacts out of there. He wants to. Okay. Alright. He wanted to push that army back a little bit further because he was getting... He was a little bit scared probably of stalkers blinking underneath those medevacts. New command center building here. On site as well, by the way. I just want to emphasize that ByuN has been pushed the entire time. And he's like, yep, built the command center right there. Could have built it, you know, I don't think it fits over there, but you can build it over here and just fly it over there. That way you can actually defend against it. And now suddenly, the South Korean Terran here is looking pretty hot once again. We've been going back and forth for a while already. This is a banger of a game. I'm obligated to call a game a banger, okay? Whenever it's half decent, I have to call it a banger. This is in my contract with myself. Are we gonna try and defend our base from that way? I don't really like that. No, no, no. Zealots are coming up. In the meantime, those medevacts from earlier... Alright, they don't have any energy anymore, so it's kind of dangerous. Honestly? Yeah, those stalkers, like, they've been derping into their own ramp for a while. Maybe if those mineral fields were mined out, this would have been a bit, a little bit better right there for Neeb. Alright. Here's the Liberators. We don't have advanced ballistics or anything like that on those units. Actually, okay, I was gonna say, did he almost forget about those upgrades? No, he did not. He does have Dark Templar with Blink as well, by the way. So he does have Shadow Strike done. As far as I know, we haven't seen a whole lot of DTs, but... well, as soon as I say that, we see one dying. Neeb, obviously, that is, right? Maybe ByuN wishes he had Dark Templar. That'd be kind of nice. Okay, good EMP once again, really softening up that army, but I think there's just a little too much Protoss here. Random Void Ray decides to join in too. This entire expansion is now denied though. The 4 Liberator hit squad. Love to see it, man. This is a special operation for the Liberators, and even though Neeb was winning for quite a significant chunk of this game, it's ByuN who obtains the victory. Alrighty, next up, Inside and Out. Very cool game number 1. Felt like ByuN was up with his back against the wall for a lot of that game, but maybe he didn't experience it like that, right? So him building that base, what is it, the 4th base on location. It's pretty crazy, actually. The fact that he just was like, yep, that's fine. There's no way there's gonna be Zealots, Dark Templar, Stalkers, or anything denying that. Like, the problem is, if you end up losing that CC, you're in a lot of trouble, because then by the time that, you know, your next one finally finishes, your bases are gonna be mined out, and you really need that expansion. Anyhow, game number 2 takes place on the map Inside and Out. Don't think that Neeb is gonna be too bothered by that loss. I really do think once you get to that stage in the game where ByuN can start multitasking, and he can start going for multiple drops, he's one of the absolute scariest players in all of StarCraft. Maybe even more scary than someone like Maru, okay? Maru likes to play a little bit more like a bulldozer usually. He's very capable of multitasking as well, but ByuN somehow seems to speed things up. He seems to look everywhere really, really rapidly. Now, whenever I see ByuN playing that fast, though, and whenever I see him going for all that multitasking, I always think of his wrists. So this has been an ongoing issue. In case you've watched many ByuN games or you're unaware, I've mentioned this in the past in a few videos as well, but ByuN, he's always... Let me actually set the scoreboard there. He's always had wrist issues, meaning that, you know, every once in a while, he just literally cannot play StarCraft 2 because of the pain. And yeah, that is... always a little sad, right? He's requested pauses before in tournaments because, you know, say it's like your third series of the day, the third set of games you have to play, and your wrist just really hurt. Like, what are you gonna do? So he's requested pauses before, and obviously he feels bad about it too. But I was worried about that a little bit. Whenever I haven't heard an update about it in a long time, but well, a long time, probably like half a year or so. I really hope though that he's got it under control these days, because especially as a Terran player. When you're starting up that multitasking, you have to split your units, you have to micro. It's just not possible to play at this level with the army that he likes to play under, I would say, 400 APM. Like, it's just... Maybe if you're really efficient, you can pull off a little bit less. But ideally, you'll see that these guys will be spiking at a lot more than that when it comes to the APM. Anyways, interesting little set of exchanges over here. I'm not entirely sure why his Marines decided to be that adventurous. He can't be too surprised about the Oracle. This Oracle has now already done way more than the first Oracle that we saw in the previous game. Oh, no. Neeb, stop being big brain. Neeb, make the brain smaller. He was once again starting to, you know, rally it around the base. Okay. Luckily, ByuN decided to show him the Cyclone early. I mean, to be fair, if he actually did fly it over here, the Cyclone would have gotten the lock-on. Maybe he needed one scan, but it probably would have killed the Oracle in the retreat. So maybe that big brain move worked out just fine in the end. Now it's 2 Oracles, though, and 2 Oracles are going to be more capable of sniping one of those Cyclones. Where's the Cyclone, is what Neeb is thinking right now. Trying his very best to hunt down whatever he can. Well, he's found it. Okay, I was going to say, that seems a bit greedy. Yeah, you go sit there. Think about what you've done. ByuN is a very strict parent. Alright. He's forgiving, though. Also important. I slept really well last night, guys. Can you tell? I'm just having a good time here. Casting games. I slept like 9 hours. It was great. To be fair, I kind of needed to sleep for a long time. Because, okay, I don't know if I have time to tell you this. Well, it's a short story. So, here's the thing. Lauren went away for a couple of days, right? She was away for 3 days. And I decided to be a complete degenerate this weekend. And I played probably about, I want to say, 10-15 hours of RuneScape on Sunday. So, this was Saturday on Sunday, right? I played for a very long time. The only problem is... Oh, yeah. The only problem is that back in the day, whenever I used to be a degenerate, and I would, you know, play games deep into the night, I would then go to bed, and I could sleep like 8-9 hours. But these days, and I think this is a problem, okay? I'm 29 years old. I wake up at like 7:30, 8 a.m. pretty much every single day. These days, whenever I play one of those late-night gaming sessions, I will wake up at 8 a.m. at latest, regardless of the time that I go to bed at. So what I'm getting at is that I really did need to sleep a little bit better, and I did. Yikes. That was really awkward, because ByuN was making the right move there, and somehow these were still caught. He's like, hey guys, what's up? Anyway. Yeah, please tell me if I'm not the only one. It's actually kind of bad, though. Whenever I'm home alone for a couple days, immediately I find myself, like, eating leftover, you know, cold ribs the next day above the sink. You know? It's like 8 in the morning. I'm home alone for, like, you know, 2-3 days. Immediately. Yeah, I live the proper gamer lifestyle, apparently. Anyways, couple of zealots here. Do slice up a siege tank. Not bad. I know there's a couple of people like, Lowko, talk about the game! Sorry. Is this guy ever gonna talk about the game? I've seen those comments before in the comment section. I always quite like those. He's been talking about unrelated stuff for about 15 minutes. Is he ever gonna talk about the game? Welcome to my podcast, where in the background we have a science fiction video game. RoboBay transition right now from Neeb. Wouldn't mind seeing a second Robo facility here coming up as well. Obviously, he's lost a bunch of army, but he's looking much better in this game than he did in the previous one. Killing the SCV that's building the command center as well. Siege tank? Are we greedy? No, I was gonna say. He was thinking about it though, but he doesn't have a lot of energy anymore on those oracles. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, Magician ByuN, ready to pull another rabbit out of another hat. Or maybe the same one, I don't know. Either way, he gets up and gets it out of there. But he did not secure the third base. We're probably going to see a fourth Nexus here pretty soon as well from Neeb, who's got the third base fully saturated at this point. He's going to go for, yeah, second Robo at this point. I think that second Robo is probably a little bit later than you ideally wanted. Anyways, he doesn't have to go for a fourth Nexus. Alternatively, he could go for a very large army here. He's already got a huge army. He's already secured a nice advantage for himself. So he could decide to just go for the win. Always dangerous, always tricky, especially pushing into a turtled up Terran base. Problem is, he's going up against ByuN, right? So ByuN never really turtles up very... Turtles? Anyways, he never turtles up particularly hard. He'll be more than happy to just almost like hand these units over on a silver platter. Not a huge fan of that. If this stasis ward goes off and grabs a chunk of that force, I think that Neeb is going to go in. Alright, good movement there from ByuN. Leading that army with a single marine. It's 120 army supply for Protoss though, versus 80 of the Terran. Zealots are going around the back as well, and Neeb is setting up a sandwich. Are there enough medevacs? There are not. So a lot of the Terran army there gets sliced. Colossi are coming up on the back of this as well, right? It's not like this Terran army is just forced to deal with, well, a bunch of gateway units here. And the Immortal. Sorry, Immortal, I forgot about you. But, well, he is going to go for the fourth Nexus. I think this is the time, though, right? Don't you just send everything towards the other side of the map? There is very little here for the Terran. There's a couple of Ghosts. There's 3 Widow Mines as well. He's playing safely. He really doesn't want to take any chances. It's what ByuN does to a man. I mean, to be fair, Neeb doesn't really need to push. He's built up the advantage, and oftentimes when you've got an advantage in a game of StarCraft 2, the right move is to try and, well, build the advantage rather than try and go in for the win. Problem is, when you fight, you almost take matters out of your own hands, you know? Like, obviously, you can control the army, but there's no way of knowing exactly where the opponent's force is located, so it can be quite tricky. Especially against someone like ByuN, you're always thinking, okay, do I really have it, though? Force fields? Oh, no force fields, okay. Oh, he just EMP'd, actually, that's why. Yeah, we didn't have any energy anymore on that sentry. Now that the ghosts are out, these sort of fights become a little trickier, but the lasers are still being shot. A lot of Widow Mines. Honestly, if you're gonna go for a fight, I think, like, a minute ago was maybe the latest. This push feels a bit later than it really should be. Siege tank over there also joins in. Still, the Colossi themselves have a lot of health as well, right? Softening up pretty much the entirety of that Terran army, if not just killing the Marines straight up. A couple Marauders still available too. SCVs are pulled away, and whenever you're pulling SCVs into the Colossi, you know that you are gonna lose quite a few of them. That being said, it's all or nothing right now here for the South Korean Terran, who's desperately trying to keep alive whatever he can at the cost of 23 SCVs. He can't even properly kill the army. GG is called, and Neeb wins game number 2. Okay. I was following around what I thought to be a scouting worker from ByuN. It did seem a little bit early. I was following it around, and then I realized, wait a second. It's pushing away the little crap thing. Anyways, he's re-rallied it to the right side of Data C instead. That's gonna be our final map for today. ByuN starts off this game with a proxy barracks. Alright. Judging by the little line right over there, yeah, he wants to go straight into the main base. Sadly for him, though, Neeb has already started up his first gateway right on here on top of this little jump-up pad. So there's really no way that our Terran player is going to be able to get in there. I mean, right now he could, but this is where the cybernetic score will go. Right over here, I would say. And at that point, it's going to be a full wall. Maybe you could still jump it up there, just barely, but not going to be able to go into the main base any further than that. Not the end of the world, though. Obviously, the only requirement to go for a factory is that you have a barracks out there somewhere. It's a double gas follow-up here as well from ByuN, so he's going to go for 2 refineries right from the get-go. This will allow him to get that factory going relatively early as well, but obviously if you're going to invest into a factory here on top of the ramp, you're not going to be able to then also simultaneously get a command center going. Anyways. He wants to see if there's a nexus. And actually, okay, so Neeb has not gone for a probe scout whatsoever. He doesn't know what's going on, but he realized that there's chance that Neeb is gonna be playing, rather, against ByuN, who will go for a proxy wreck. So he sees the bunker as it goes up, pulled another probe to the low ground right away, and his Reaper didn't even try going into the main base. Instead, he wants to go hunting a couple of those probes. Nicely done. All right, so that shuts that down. Yep. Very good moves there by the American Protoss. Kills the SCV before it can actually go back to building that structure up. Oh, alright. At least it got a superhero death. In the end, though, yeah, 1 SCV and 1 Reaper for 2 probes. Not ideal whatsoever, especially since you're kind of forced into that double gas. Now he's going to go for a reactor right over there. Okay. Interesting. Command center on the low ground does follow this up eventually, but you can really tell that Neeb has got a nice little economical advantage here for himself. Stargate on the back of this too. Unsurprisingly. If this is going to be anything like the previous games, we'll see an Oracle. And then probably a Twilight Council. Cyclone is coming up. An additional gateway, or sorry, an additional barracks too. I looked at the image right there. I was like, that's, well, I guess it's a Terran gateway. Fidget spinner SCV going towards the surface of Data C. No, instant recall, okay. Love to see that. This is a man who's lost many a Stalker to many or many a Cyclone. Apparently, I don't know unit names anymore. But yeah, he recalled there right away. Obviously, you need to have the energy available as well as the cooldown. But he did get the unit back home in time. Nicely done right there by Neeb. Keeping those units alive is obviously very important. Especially against his one-base shenanigans. So it's going to be a triple Rex follow-up. Nothing too crazy. Okay, so double Cyclone here. And then straight onto the tech lab. He'll probably go for the Stimpec upgrade. There it is. And then I'm assuming it's going to be a tech lab right here on the second barracks. That this guy is going to make. Yep. So combat shields, Stimpec, and +1 infantry weapons. We would have to see a NG bay here though for the +1 infantry weapons, but we'll probably see one here in a second. Anyhow, Neeb going for a proxy pylon once again. I wonder if you plant the proxy pylon over there, if the supply depot in the main base would actually be able to see it. I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. Anyways, yeah, indeed, it is once again going to be the same follow-up that we've seen Neeb play. Proxy gateway on the other side of the map. And he's going to go for that blink upgrade. This upgrade's actually going to be quite late. NG Bay here is a little bit later than you wanted. ByuN already sitting at 350 gas. Definitely needs to tidy things up a little bit here, though. So he wants to go Marine Marauder Medivacs. Eventually, I'm assuming. With +1 infantry weapons coming up and maybe some Widow Mines or something along those lines. But definitely need to play a clean game against someone of the caliber of Neeb. That upgrade is definitely a little out of sync. Not the end of the world, but you can see that all those upgrades, they can finish up at the same time and now they're not lined up perfectly. And this is a build that ByuN has probably played about a gajillion times. It's easy, though, to make little mistakes and accidentally forget structures at the appropriate time, but anyways, Neeb is gonna once again go for that skill check, right? He's gonna go for the blink upgrade. He might go into the main base of his opponent if he really wants to. Phoenix here threatening a lift up. And obviously the lift up would cancel that, that ability. So Stimpec at this point is done. Combat shields, not quite. Ah, that's a bad stim. Yeah, he stimmed right at the end of that battle. Neeb right now sees it. He's like, okay, don't mind if I do. He's just running away. So, ByuN basically just willingly gave up 10 HP on every single one of his Marines. And since there's no medevacs available yet, that HP is not gonna come back. Now, in typical ByuN fashion, all the Terran players I know would run back up that ramp. He's like, nope, I'm gonna sit right out here. If he wants to go for a follow-up push, he'll have to go through this choke. Got a free Phoenix for his troubles. Yeah, this is where having an Oracle available is still very nice, right? So he didn't make an Oracle, he went straight into a Phoenix this time. Really, ByuN? That is a dangerous move, because you don't know exactly where those Stalkers are. Anyhow, not going for a conservative move right there on those units at all. Instead, he decided to just go practically over that Protoss army. Anyways, a recall is utilized, and this is a blink, 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 blink. Oof. Well, nicely done right there by Neeb once again. Cleans up essentially a full medevac worth of units. Robo facility coming up on the back of this too. Neeb now has his third Nexus up and running, and this is still 2 base Terran. And I don't think that ByuN really plans on taking a third base here anytime soon either, judging by the fact that he added on even more barracks production here at the front. I think that this is going to be that bulldozer approach, where you go for essentially a 2 base all-in. +1 infantry weapons at this point is done. Combat shields are done. Stimpack, it's done. This army is going to pack a punch. Maybe the timing was not entirely correct, but does it really matter? Ooh, nice set of blinks right there from our Protoss player. Obviously, there's no splash damage available yet at this stage in the game for the Protoss, so this is going to be rather tricky. He does have a shield battery over at the third base. I would love to see a shield battery over in the natural too. He's trying his very best to force field this army out. Economy right now bigger for Neeb, so his reinforcements are going to be a little bit bigger too. A couple of Zealots here annoying the Terran player inside of the natural. Good control. Very nice multitasking here. Ooh, Widowmine almost just murders his entire friendly army. Alright. Looks like it will be okay in the end, but 10 SCVs still have gone down. At the same time, Neeb pounced on that main army of ByuN as well. Just like that, he obtains the victory 2-1 over one of the very best Korean Terrans.